Haruo's brother, Masaki, dies under strange circumstances after hosting a radio show. Haruo, unhappy with the police closing the case prematurely, decides to uncover the real reason behind Masaki's shocking death. This investigation leads to indescribable events where he risks his own life. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator. You can follow me on Twitter where you can communicate with me and send me game suggestions. And also thank you so much for suggesting this game to me. As always, there will be spoilers ahead. With that in mind, let's begin. Masaki's death in the radio station after hosting a show took many by surprise. The police closed their investigation and ruled it out as self-inflicted. Masaki's brother, Haruo, adamant to trusting the police investigation, decides to investigate on his own and check the radio station. As he gets into his car in the middle of the night and travels to the station located in the mountainside, he sees a figure in the monitor room inspecting the monitors. As he enters, this figure mysteriously disappears, shocking Haruo to what he just witnessed. He then breaks one of the monitors and finds a tape stuffed inside. He subsequently finds more tapes gathered through the dark, quiet mountainside town while experiencing a lot of paranormal sightings, and eventually he enters the radio station. Playing one of the tapes is of Masaki's recording reading a horror story sent by a listener called Toko.
はい、鬼川正樹です。東子さんからの手紙です。これは霊感のある同級生の小学生の時の話です。その子は生まれつき霊感がありました。保育園の頃ははっきり見えるわけではなく、なんとなくもやのようなものが見えたり、一定の場所がひんやりと感じたりする程度だったようですが、小学生になってからははっきり見えるようになったそうです。いつも同じ場所に男の人がただ立っているなぁと思っていたら、そんなある日、一つの事件が起こりました。その日は友達と遊んでいて、知らないうちに暗くなってしまっていて、急いで一人で帰っていたそうです。薄暗いからか、少しの物音でも反応してしまい、怖くなってしまっていました。そんな時、こんばんは、と声をかけられたそうです。振り返ると中年のおじさん、一人家まで送ってあげようか。そう話すおじさんに恐怖を覚え断って去ろうとすると腕をつかまれ、送ってあげると言ってるじゃないか、と。恐怖のあまり声も出ず固まっていると、急におじさんが悲鳴を上げて逃げていったそうです。おじさんが見ていた方向を見ると、そこにはいつもの幽霊が。幽霊はその子を見守ってくれていたのでしょうか。
It entails how a friend of Toko could communicate with ghosts, with the tape ending mentioning that a middle-aged man tried to offer the girl a ride to which she refused, leading to the man becoming more hostile, insisting on taking her, when suddenly the man in terror screams and runs away, which the girl realizes is due to a ghost who was watching over her, getting rid of this creepy man. As the tape ends, Masaki's brother realizes that there are 6 more tapes to play from the total of 7. As he places another in the tape player, a paranormal event occurs which terrifies the protagonist, but as he's determined to uncover the cause of his brother's death, he stays in the station. The second tape is yet another recording of Masaki reading a horror story, but this time, the tape ends with Masaki mentioning it's yet again from Toko, the last person who sent the previous story. The third tape is of Masaki yet again, mentioning he's received another story from Toko. The fourth tape continues the trend, but this time, the recording includes Toko's story.
兄弟が入院し、気持ちが下がっている日々。その子は兄弟のためにと毎日病院に通い、一生懸命看病していた。すいません。いつもと同じ人ですよね。やっぱりちゃんと東子さんですね。いつもと書き方が違うので違う人かと、いつものように 病院へ行くと、兄弟の担当医が部屋の前に立っていた。別室に案内され、兄弟の病室に行く男の子が、
僕が苦しくて痛かった時、何してたの？
そんな風に慌てて病院に入ったが、その瞬間、だが、それから兄弟は私のそばで私をずっと見ている。ずっと。
Masaki notices that the writing style is different than usual as he's become familiar with Toko's writing, questioning if the letter is actually from Toko or not. The story is of a girl who was working part-time with her brother hospitalized, whom she visited every day and took care of. The girl mentions that she feels a strange force making its way into her body. She then ends her story by saying after that, her brother was always next to her. The tape becomes strange as it becomes distorted, showing signs of paranormal occurrences. After finding the fifth and sixth tape, in the station Haruo plays the fifth tape when a ghostly entity of a female stands outside of the station, looking inside through the window. Masaki on the tape mentions that their station has been receiving a lot of positive feedback from the stories Toko has been sending. The story this time is of an unknown person sent by Toko, who mentions that she only has her brother in her life, not knowing who their parents were, with no friends nor relative helping. The girl becomes vengeful at everything. She mentions how she cursed everyone, wishing their unhappiness. She continues that she wrote a letter for people to read in order to bring feast into their world. She mentions that her brother is always next to her and she will do what she couldn't when her brother went to sleep. She mentions that people often die around her and she wonders if it's her fault. The letter is yet again very strange, having capital letters in incorrect places, making it difficult for Masaki to read. The letter ends with a strange line, all in capital letters, whether the reader has read the writer's letter. In the sixth tape, Masaki mentions that they found the letter in question from the previous one, which was at the bottom of some documents. Masaki mentions that this time, the letter has a title, but when he tries to read it, static seems to have corrupted the tape. The tape ends abruptly, which raises the protagonist's curiosity, who goes to read the letter for himself, checking the documents within the building. The letter has a sticky note on it, which reads out that the protagonist will discover why his brother died after reading the letter out loud. The letter is titled The Darkness of Tanako. This letter seems to be a spell of some sort, as it doesn't make much sense. The radio station suddenly starts flooding, with the water levels rising despite the source being unknown and outside being fully dry. A ghostly figure then rises from the water, using telekinesis to drown the protagonist, Haruo.
I heard that the following morning he went looking for the cause of his brother's death. Why him? We were engaged. He can't die so easily, leaving me behind. I have to find out why he died.
Haruo's fiancée seemingly tries to investigate his death subsequently, which possibly ends up with her reading the poem and dying as well. This creates a never-ending loop of people dying due to the ghost, who tricks people into reading this letter, which acts as a summoning spell for the ghost to appear and kill the readers. That is presumably how Masaki died after reading this letter. After traveling to an abandoned house with many maze-like doors, Haruo finds a voice recorder. He picks up the recorder and heads to the station. After reading The Darkness of Tanako, the deadly ghost entity reappears, but before he tries to drown Haruo, he records his voice with the last shaky breath he has left, alerting others in terror not to fall for this entity's trap and avoid the letter at all costs. This unfortunately seems to be inadequate, as the Darkness of Tanaka poem becomes an urban legend and many people read it out loud to play games. This only gives more popularity to the poem, causing the death of many others in a gruesome manner. This time, instead of reading the letter, Haruo manages to find the 7th and final tape by Masaki. In there, he reads the poem with the tape coming to an abrupt and static end. Haruo presumes that the poem is cursed and that Masaki died after reading this letter, with his death being directly associated to it. Haruo decides to get the letter examined by taking it to the police, but plans to go home and rest the night first.
Masaki Onikawa's brother, Haruo, brought a tape to me. He said if you listen to this, you will understand the reason for Masaki's death. I decided to listen to the tape. However, no matter how much I played it, nothing came out, and nothing was recorded on the tape. Haruo panicked. He seemed to be mumbling to himself, "It can't be." Suddenly, he handed me a piece of paper. Masaki died because he read this paper aloud. There was a recording on the tape to back it up. After accepting the paper, Haruo whisked away. He had a severe look in his eyes. But is he trying to make fun of us? The police? There's no way a single poem written on a paper like this can kill a person. If such a thing were to really happen, it would be a terrible thing. As I was staring at the paper, a younger colleague came over to me. "Senpai, what are you looking at?" "I heard that if you read this poem out loud, you will die." "What? Is it superstition or something? Do you really believe in that, Senpai?" The junior laughed. "Why don't you try reading it, senior?" I was told that, but I couldn't bring myself to read it. Of course, I didn't believe him, but... "Are you scared, senior? Then I'll read it for you." Laughing, my colleague picked up the piece of paper. My colleague read the whole thing at once. Nothing happened during that time. I didn't expect anything to happen, but I was a little relieved. Nothing happened. Maybe it was just a prank. He suddenly screamed and collapsed. He never came back, and when I noticed, the paper was gone too. What was that poem about?
The police senior's distrust of the paranormal story explained by Haruo caused the death of a junior police officer who took this incident lightly. Although as solid proof that this poem acted as a cursed spell, no evidence was left behind for him to prevent further deaths by this letter. The letter disappeared after the junior officer read it and subsequently died, which correlates with the tape getting wiped recorded by Masaki. It seems as if Toko was an evil entity or was associated with evil spirits, tricking unknowing people to read this cursed poem, or whether she was overtaken and disguised by an evil spirit, sending letters on her behalf to summon itself and take control of the readers. The latter is more likely, as Masaki noted that the writing became distorted after some time, not resembling the writing style of Toko. The ghost seems to be of a girl whose brother dies in a hospital after being hospitalized for some time. She seems to become possessed by an evil spirit which takes her body. This leads to the girl dying as well, who mentions that she is now alongside her brother forever. She writes a specific letter which is the Darkness of Tanaka poem, leading to people's death. She becomes a vengeful spirit as she was always alone, with no relatives nor friends helping her take care of her sick brother. Taking the lives of the victims seemingly allows this vengeful girl spirit to surround herself with more spirits, who are occasionally seen by Haruo trying to crack down the case of his brother's death. They might be trying to prevent Haruo from reading the letter to stop this horrifying cycle. If you enjoyed this video, you can watch more by clicking on the cards on the screen. You can also stay tuned for the latest videos by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your host Star, and as always, have a fantastic day.